Hello. So today I'm going to be talking about FDR, his presidency, and the impacts of his presidency on America and on our lives today. So first of all, here's a picture. One of the things that he was really the master of is giving people confidence in his policies, and also in America and uh, and people's economic stability. And that confidence really helped people in terms of investing and helping America get back on its feet. So I'm going to start off by talking about FDR's first 100 days. These are um, probably the most famous part of his presidency just because he created a ton of new legislation. So I'm going to talk about the New Deal. The first New Deal was really all about economic stimulation and getting the U.S. out of the Great Depression. Part of the first New Deal was Glass-Steagall and reopening the banks. So basically, letting people get to their money, letting people spend their money, and giving people confidence in investments that they would be able to get their money back if needed, and that they wouldn't lose all their money. Next, I have listed a bunch of agencies, and together all these agencies are the alphabet soup agencies, just because they have all these different letters and it's somewhat self-explanatory. Most of these basically just created a bunch of jobs for Americans. FDR hoped that that with this money, these people would then spend it and stimulate the economy and help get America back on its feet. But a lot of these jobs were somewhat unnecessary. For example, some of these organizations gave jobs to artists, musicians, and basically let people and gave them money to perform, or a lot of times it was for construction. But I think not only does it help to give people money so that they can then spend it, I think a lot of these things were really important. I think it's nice to have government paid for music, or new roads and stuff like that. The last one, the FHA, was a housing, and that really just gave housing to Americans who couldn't afford it. The next thing is the graduated income tax. This wasn't created by FDR, but it was really utilized by him. The graduated income tax under FDR for the wealthiest Americans was higher than it has been ever since, and that's something he really used to decrease the gap between the wealthiest and the poorest in America. After the first New Deal, FDR created the second New Deal, which was more about economic security for the future, so that something like the Great Depression wouldn't happen again. The Wagner Act really helped unions. It allowed workers to organize under unions, and then basically let them argue for higher pay, better hours, better conditions, and stuff like that. The WPA and the REA gave money for people to give jobs to people. The REA was electricity, so that also helped give electricity to a lot of rural Americans who didn't have electricity. And then the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, regulated stocks in the stock market so that a massive crash hopefully wouldn't happen again. Like a massive stock market crash wouldn't happen again. And then lastly, Social Security basically was a safety net for Americans. So in case they did, completely mess up, lose all their money, something like that, the government would give them food, housing, money so that they could get by until they got back on their feet. FDR really set some lasting political impacts that we're still impacted by those things today. It really set a precedent that the government should be more involved in Americans' lives. Before this, government was really less involved, and creating all these organizations, giving people jobs, social security, all these things were really a step up and really involved in Americans' lives. He was the first to really utilize Keynesian economics to its full extent, with the graduated income tax and all of that. And he really reorganized the Democratic Party and created it. Basically, what it is today is still what it was then. Basically, that Democrats have more confidence in the government than in corporations. Although FDR did do some fantastic things for the country, he made a few mistakes. First of all, court packing was when some of FDR's Second New Deal legislation was gonna be considered unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. FDR wanted to increase the Supreme Court to 15 justices from 9. And this was really thought of as like underhanded and abusing his power, really. The internment camps was during World War II, when FDR put mostly Japanese people in these almost jails, really, during World War II. And the reason for this was that they could potentially be spies, although it was completely unnecessary, really. And then lastly, there was racist housing policies and loans, especially in FHA, giving out, unfair loans to blacks, not letting them live certain places, and that contributed to the economic divide between blacks and whites that we have today.